So Iran's in big trouble. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. I just hope the protesters in Iran are going to be safe, because that's a very dangerous place right now. And again, I tell the Iranian leaders, you better not start shooting, because we'll start shooting too.
As we approach 2 weeks of deadly protests in Iran, President Trump issues a big warning to its leaders as a human rights group reveals dozens of Iranians have been killed during anti-government rallies. Here to react, former NSC Chief of Staff under President Trump, Alex Gray. Alex, it's remarkable what we're witnessing over the last few days. Protesters standing up to Ayatollah Khamenei from Tehran all the way across to the east to Mashhad in over 100 cities and provinces. Is this time different?
Well, Griff, I think it's incredibly different, because if you think about the last time this happened in force, 2009, the man sitting behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office was Barack Obama, and now it's Donald J. Trump. And when Barack Obama was met with this type of opportunity, his response was to prevaricate, was to total indecision, and ultimately the protests were crushed and Iranians were killed, and we lost 15 years. Donald Trump has been able in such a short period of time to actually change the calculus of the Iranian dictatorship to the point that they even offered $7 a month, an insulting amount of money, but they actually tried to buy off the protesters by giving them $7 a month to leave the streets. And now with President Trump promising the protesters that he has their back, I think this time could be a very different story.
Well, and you have, Alex, Ayatollah Khamenei with some fighting words saying this: the Islamic Republic will not back down in the face of vandals. Trump should know that world tyrants were brought down at the peak of their arrogance. He, too, will be brought down. How do you advise the Trump administration and President Trump to handle this?
Well, the Ayatollahs love to bluster. The reality is, after the operation against Nicolas Maduro in Caracas, after President Trump's decisive action against the nuclear program earlier this year, the Ayatollahs are terrified. They know that they could be next, and that if anyone has the will to do this, to actually hold them accountable and to change the calculus in the region, it's President Trump. We have an opportunity now to move the ball forward on policy. So we can do things like provide money to striking Iranians who are trying to be in the streets, not work to bring the regime's economy down. We can actually provide money to them to sustain their strike. We can make sure that when the regime cuts off their internet access, we can use our resources to make sure that they still have access to the internet so they can maintain communications and continue to network with each other. So we have policy tools that are proportionate and that will keep the regime on their toes and keep the protesters moving forward.
Let's talk about Reza Pahlavi for a second, the exiled crown prince. He really called the people to turn out. He seems to have taken quite a risk, because if no one would have shown, he would have lost quite a lot of credibility, but just the opposite has happened.
It's true, and he's turned himself into a unifying figure for the protesters. Despite the history of his family going back many decades, he has shown himself to be a unifying figure in this instance. And I think that whether it's with the Crown Prince, whether it's with other elements of the protesters, the United States at this point needs to make one thing very clear. We stand with the people of Iran and their desire for freedom, and President Trump has a huge opportunity, which he's already taking full advantage of, I think, to show that the United States is not going to have the same type of cowardice and weakness this time as we did when Barack Obama was president.
And you're seeing Secretary of State Rubio already tweeting out solidarity with the protesters, along with the Embassy of Baghdad, the U.S. Embassy there. We'll see where it goes. Alex Gray, thank you for your insight, as always.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.